Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. We have standing by over in the wings John Cornett and Jan Sue Hurst ready to play a new song, The Incredible Edible Vegetable?
Yes.
All right. That's a great name. Mr. Casper Leach is right here, the joint host. And we will be taking your phone calls. So get ready and call us at 503-288-4442. And you can call in and ask us questions about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients. But first, as always, we're going to bring out our infamous dancing cannabis leaves.
I feel the force.
And here's John Cornett, Jan Sue Hurst.
This was inspired by a friend of mine down in Mexico. He's a vegetarian, you see. Kevin, this goes out to you, brother. Some folks like tomatoes, some like rhubarb pie. I like when my vegetables get me a little high. May not be for everyone, may not fit your needs. The credible edible vegetable is more than just a weed. Credible, edible, vegetable. Folks like tomatoes, some like rhubarb pie. I like when my vegetables make me a little high. May not be for everyone, may not fit your needs, but this incredible edible vegetable is more than just a weed.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
Put some
John
on
Cornett, Jan Sue Hurst, welcome to the show, Casper.
Thank you
Good to see you and welcome you viewers out there. It is the 25th of January, 2013. If you're watching Friday night, the 25th of January, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We will be taking your calls for just about 55 more minutes or so. And so Casper, we've had a lot of interesting news over the past week. I've been reading your Twitter feed and everything. Lots of things are happening. I saw just tonight that Roger Christie is being hit with more charges as he's locked up in Hawaii, and he's been held for 2.5 years with no bail. A fellow who had about 830 grams of marijuana, or less than 2 pounds.
Yep.
It's pretty outrageous.
It is.
It really is.
And it's kind of
They've
like
delayed his trial yet again.
they're using this indefinite detention on peaceful activists
That's
here
exactly
in
right.
our country.
Yep. And another fellow in San Diego got an 8-year mandatory minimum sentence a couple days ago, just like the fellow Aaron Studski got 10-year mandatory minimum sentence just for selling marijuana to medical patients.
Medical patients, giving them their medications that they need for their ailments. A doctor prescribed, approved in 17 states, including the district.
18 now.
18
with
states.
the Massachusetts being
Including the
one.
District of Columbia, where Michelle's husband, what's his name?
That guy.
Sits, and they've got my bro, Eric Holder. He's up there. So you guys are driving to and from your office is right by medical marijuana dispensaries, and you're just going right into these people's lives and destroying everything that you touch because they are helping people survive their pain.
So, we've all been hopeful that in the second administration of Barack Hussein Obama that we'd see some movement. And so there's good news in that they haven't attacked Colorado and Washington for legalizing marijuana in last November's vote yet.
Yeah,
And
now
so
I'm
things
confused
are moving
here.
forward. There have been meetings with the Washington State Liquor Control Board.
Well,
They've
this
had
is what's got me
several meetings to set up their regulatory model.
Supposedly the governor of Washington's got a peaceful feeling about moving forward after having this discussion with old Eric. But then Eric came out to the press and said that, talking about medical marijuana is sending the wrong message to kids, and they're just going to keep cracking down. What's going on? It's like a bipolar statement.
It is. But so much of the government is. On one hand, the DEA says that marijuana has no medical value. And in fact, just this week, the United States Courts of Appeals upheld the DEA's denial of rescheduling marijuana. It's in what's called Schedule 1, which means it has no medicinal value at all. And so, but on the other hand, where the DEA says it has no medicinal value at all, another part of the federal government, the Health and Human Services Department, has patented marijuana for its medicinal value. There's a patent out there for an antioxidant, cancer-fighting agent, and for pain relief. So, one hand, the DEA says it has no medical value. On the other hand, Health and Human Services says it's good to fight cancer, it's good for chronic pain. So it's bipolar, just like you said.
It's like watching the Three Stooges.
Yep, it is.
Only sad, not quite as funny.
Yes, yeah, that's true. Well, if you're out there tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour.
Our prisons are getting an awful lot of headline news, which I think is sad because it points out that, as we've been saying for years, we have the highest incarceration rate, and yet we are the land of the free. But, our privately funded prison industry, well, it's got shareholders to, make happy, and it's got profits to make, and it's got...
At the same time, we have to give our bodily fluids upon demand for employment. And so it's not the land of the free,
right?
It's the land of the pee.
That's right. Well, if you're going to get food stamps, if we're going to give you free food, we want you to pee in a cup. You know that, right?
Yeah, I've heard that. We also want to say shout out to the folks watching all around the world on Ustream.tv. There's a little box there off to the side of your Ustream screen. If you have a question, you can type it into that box, and it will be transferred right here to us, and maybe we can answer it. We'll certainly give it a try.
I got a rumor I need to dispel.
Go right ahead.
You know, I was blessed to have been given the Freedom Fighter of the Month award.
For the month of February. Your month is
But
about to start.
There are people who are now talking about the fact that I was involved with doping in order to win that.
Oh, you mean you've been using marijuana?
Well, if I get on Oprah, which she said sometime between 2016 and when hell freezes over, I'll give all the details. But there's a lot of rumors that I was involved with doping.
And riding your motorcycle.
To get that award. So.
I see.
But thank you, High
riding,
Times.
Doping. We have a caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi, I'm Lori from Oregon.
Hi, Lori.
And I've been going to my doctor since '08 because I have chronic pancreatitis and my intestines and everything are all messed up.
Yes.
And they knew from day one that I smoked marijuana. They also knew that I had a medical marijuana card. And I had signed one of those drug things that they give you that you don't go out looking for drugs everywhere or whatever.
Yeah.
Contracts. Nobody, and then all of a sudden, now from 2008 until New Year's Eve, they knew I smoked marijuana. And then all of a sudden my doctor says, if we give you a P test and it comes out medical marijuana, we're taking away your pain medicine and we're taking away your panic medicine. I don't understand that.
It makes absolutely no sense.
They've known it since 2008. Then all of a sudden, bam, New Year's.
Was there some kind of law that passed
No.
that we're blind to? Or,
No.
You know,
And
sometimes at first of the year things flip over.
yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, I would be looking for other pain management services.
Yeah, in a heartbeat.
I can't direct you any place in particular, but if you need any help, you can call us. We'll be happy to try to help. There's that phone number for our office on the screen there. If you're outside the Portland area, you can call us at 1-800-723-0188. You just leave a message at this time of night for our clinic, but if you're here in the Portland area, you can call us at 503-235-4606. That new number that just popped on your screen there, 503-235-4606. And we'll try to help as best we can. But, you know, that's one of the problems. What happens is these doctors, you've got a chronic pain issue, and what do? They give you these narcotics, and, you know, you're not supposed to really be on those things for more than a couple of weeks. And so you become addicted to them. And then they label you a drug seeker, and they try to manage that. You know, they've got you hooked. Now you've got to come in and see them every so often. And then there's things like this. So, you know, cannabis can help people get off of these other drugs. But at the same time, if you're addicted to these because the doctors have got you that way, they're going to have to wean you off them, because just going cold turkey can be a mess. It can be fatal in some cases.
But when you're utilizing marijuana for medicine, it's a safe medication.
That's right. You can't overdose. You can sleep. It doesn't mess up your intestinal tract the way these pharmaceuticals and opiates do.
And if all of a sudden you just stop smoking marijuana, the worst that happens is that you have a little more clarity to your dreams.
Yeah. Okay, we got another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, not that line.
Well, I got a question. You know, there's some industrial hemp talk going on down in Kentucky. We got friends down there, I mean, who are still working on behalf of our brother, a fallen brother in arms, Gatewood.
Galbraith.
Thought you might want to give an update to what's going on there in Kentucky.
I know there's a bill they're trying to move through the Kentucky legislature, the Gatewood Galbraith 2, a medical marijuana bill and an industrial hemp bill. Gatewood was an attorney who had been working for marijuana law reform. He'd been a very prominent person in the Democratic Party in the state of Kentucky, and he passed away just about a year and 2 weeks ago at this point. He'd been a guest on this show back in May of 2011, but they're moving forward with legislation there. So if you're in Kentucky or know someone out there, you can urge them to support the industrial hemp bill. That Kentucky was the center of hemp culture and hemp fiber and seed oil production for many, many years. So
and we got Oregon on the front burner. Apparently this couple seems to think that giving their son medical marijuana has a tendency to help with his little temper tantrums that he deals with.
Yeah, no, it's not temper tantrums. It's a kid who has autism. And autism is a very debilitating disease. It comes in various degrees. And so they're not temper tantrums. It's just these spasms he has. And it can be violent at times. And so the cannabis is apparently helping those spasms and seizures associated with autism.
And forgive me, because when I smoke marijuana, it helps me with my temper tantrums.
I see. You're the one with the temper tantrums, not that kid with autism. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Hi there.
Howdy.
Hey, I'm just here hanging out, eating popcorn with a little bit of bubber. Oh, I like your wave there, buddy. Anyway,
All right.
I was listening to KBOO this morning,
Uh-huh.
and I can't think of.
Can't think of. The sound went dead there.
Well, we lost the sound there, but I know that there has been an awful lot of coverage here lately about the events that are going on in Washington, as you were talking about earlier,
Right.
where they're moving forward with the tax and regulate
Yeah.
of the.
The law that passed up in Washington last November, Initiative 502, mandated that the Washington State Liquor Control Board develop regulations to legalize the sale of marijuana. You know, from where we're sitting right here, in 10 minutes we could be in Washington and legally have up to an ounce, but there's no legal source of it yet. So the Washington State Liquor Control Board is having public hearings. They think they had one in Seattle right now as we are talking. And so they had one in Olympia a couple of nights ago, and they're having them all across the state to seek input on these new regulatory structures where they're going to set up farms and processors and retailers to legally sell marijuana to adults
And then
over
on
the counter.
Other side of us, we got in California, we got Harborside finally got the IRS to back down, and we got an industry starting to regroup and come back to life down there, don't we?
That's true, and there's a big conference. It's been 100 years since California implemented an anti-marijuana law, and so a group down there, the California chapter of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, and their leader and longtime director, Dale Geringer, has a pretty nice conference going on tomorrow and the next day for this event. So if you're down in San Francisco, that might be something you want to check into.
18 states, we got more coming around the corner, and everywhere they go, there's either indoor growing or 100 million plants in the state. They're not going to be able to wipe this out. What they need to do is start figuring out how to deal with it. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. And so Massachusetts being the most recent state to pass medical marijuana overwhelmingly in last November's election. Then we have 17 other states and the District of Columbia. So really right now we have 19 different areas. It's all, as I like to say, very ironic where the federal government allows medical marijuana in Washington, D.C., but arrests the people in California and Montana and Washington who are implementing laws in those states.
Well, it's okay for our senators and our congressmen and their kids. We want to keep them safe. It's just those average people who are paying the taxes, those are the ones we want to keep locked up, right?
That's what they seem to be saying. You know, we have a film clip we're going to roll right now, and we'll be back to take your phone calls. If you have questions for us tonight, give us a call at 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442. And we'll be back right after this brief video interlude. Enjoy.
Pests, fungi, and diseases can all be prevented, but if allowed to grow unchecked, they can devastate the garden in a few short weeks. Insects, mites, and maggots slither into the grow room, eating, reproducing, and wasting weed. Fungi spores are present in the air at all times. They may be introduced by an infected plant or from air containing fungus spores. Disease attacks sick plants first. Strong plants tend to grow faster than pests and diseases can spread. Cleanliness is the key to insect and fungus prevention. The grow room should be totally enclosed so the environment can be controlled easily. Keep the floor clean. Keep all debris off soil surface. Growers and their tools often transport microscopic pests, diseases, and fungi. Disinfect tools by dipping in rubbing alcohol or washing with soap and hot water. Wash your hands before touching foliage and after handling diseased plants. Remember, it's much easier to prevent the start of a disease than it is to wipe out an infestation once it takes hold.
Let me take a look over here. Now on this plant, we can see some adult spider mites and some eggs. The juveniles or the young ones are a little more difficult to spot because they're translucent. The adults are dark in color or orangish, two-spotted, red. There's several different kinds. Normally we see the two-spotted or red spider mite. The bottom of the leaf is where they live. On the top of the leaf are the classic stipples. They're yellowish spots that the spider mites make when they rasp and suck the juices of the plant from the bottom of the leaf. And I'll have to say, this leaf is infested.
Most pest insects and mites lay thousands of eggs in a short period of time, which means an infestation can happen in a matter of days. Indoor gardeners have many options to control insects and fungi. I prefer natural organic sprays such as pyrethrum and neem, and will only use harsh chemicals as a last resort. In general, sprays should be applied soon after eggs hatch, so young adults are caught in their weakest stage of life. Any spray, no matter how benign, always seems to slow plant growth a little. Spray plants as little as possible and avoid spraying for 2 weeks before harvest. Read all labels thoroughly before use. Use only contact sprays that are approved for edible plants. Wait until cuttings are rooted and seedlings are at least a month old before spraying.
Man, books make it so much easier to understand, like really hard.
All right. That was George Cervantes. We want to thank George for the use of his videos, and he has a great website out there called marijuanagrowing.com, so you can find out more and see more of his videos. He has a lot of them. They'll keep you up to date on YouTube and on the internet. So.
And that is an ugly problem to get. Is spider mites and all those little critters can just, and within 48, 72 hours, just destroy an amazing crop.
They can grow very rapidly. So I personally like neem oil, which is an organic solution. It's not toxic to people. I use a clarified neem oil, and sometimes diatomaceous earth, which is also non-toxic. It's less toxic than table salt. So.
But I think one of the graphics was wrong when they showed the picture of maggots. It showed a worm instead of a picture of Congress.
Oh, well, you might be right. You might be right about that. Okay, if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at that number on your screen, 503-288-4442. That's 503-288-4442, and we have a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller.
How you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, I'm a card holder and everything, and I was wondering if there's any place that a person could go to possibly take classes on perhaps growing or making medibles.
Yeah, you know, there are. One place you can watch videos is at that marijuanagrowing.com, but there are several places that are teaching classes. I can't really recommend them right off the top of my head here on the show. You're in the Portland area?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why don't you give us a call at this other number, 503-235-4606, and we'll get back to you with recommendations on that in the next couple of days.
Also, you might want to check out hippiebutter.com. There's a handful of videos there that show you how to make butter, candies, nice brownies that are really tasty. And at the same time, some of the items that you might want to utilize in your cooking can also be purchased there on the website, making it handy and easy. And that's hippiebutter.com. Brad's a very hardworking activist, and he's been in the movement for a long time. He's a very diligent businessman.
Well, awesome. I thank you for the information.
You're very welcome. Thanks for your call.
Have a good night.
You too. If you have another call or question for us, you can call us at 503-288-4442. So you want to give a plug for your show there, Casper?
I do, and I first want to let that I am not lip syncing in any way. I'm really on the program, so please don't think that I'm not,
being funny.
Properly. It's really important that people realize that when I'm here live, being on the show. Also, we are on Monday through Friday on AmericanFreedomRadio.com from 10 to 11 a.m. and on AM/FM stations all across America. Check out Time for Hemp at iTunes. All 4 of our podcasts can be downloaded for free. And if you go to timeforhemp.com, there's a Mobi app that you can utilize to keep up to date with the marijuana movement, news on the cutting edge. And there's lots of archives that you can also enjoy, lots of great music, and a great place where you can hit the donate button if you seem to appreciate what we're doing. And do let our sponsors know that you heard about them at timeforhemp.com. Thank you, Paul, for the shameless plug.
Sure, and we have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller.
Yes, my name is Ryan. I have a question for you. I hear that on the Oregon Government Committee that they're putting on the ballot inclusion of post-traumatic stress disorder for qualified conditions for medical marijuana. I was wondering, how soon after that gets passed, if it gets passed, will new patients be accepted for the program?
Okay, that is a legislative bill that is moving its way through the legislature. If it passes through it's not going to be on the ballot. It's not going to be voted on statewide, but it's going through the legislature. So if you are in Oregon, I urge you to contact your state representatives or state senator down in Salem and tell them to support this bill to add PTSD to the list of qualifying conditions. And if it is passed, it would go into effect, I think it is 45 days after the close of the legislative session, so approximately next August or September.
Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate the information.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Apparently, the leaders of the Latin countries and apparently the leaders of Mexico
and Uruguay
all think that our politicians here are a bunch of yo-yos, huh?
Yep, they want to legalize marijuana as well, so there's been some big moves forward in Latin America to allow that. And so that's a big step forward. You know, we had a question on the Ustream site where we're streaming this show live saying we mentioned Harborside, California is fighting the feds. Harborside is a dispensary with locations in Oakland, California, and in San Jose. And the federal government has come in and attempted to forfeit their property and get the landlord who owns these sites to evict them. And they've fought successfully to fight eviction and to stop the federal forfeiture. And at the same time, the federal government, under an IRS Rule 280E, has attempted to tax them out of existence, saying that they have no legitimate business expenses because marijuana is a Schedule I substance, and if you supply marijuana, then you don't get legitimate business tax exemptions and deductions. And so they have been successfully fighting that to date as well.
And successful is the key in that sentence.
That's right.
They stood up to them and went, no, I'm sorry. You think you're that bad, but you ain't.
Yeah, that's right. And so they just have to continue to fight the good fight, and that is what they're doing.
You know, what kind of surprised me most about the IRS is that these clowns have their own little SWAT team group and tanks. Now, originally, this organization was put into place so to kind of like help gather taxes off of your income. Now they're all freaked out about how you spend it, where it's transferred to, what it is that you're doing your credit card with, and if they don't like it, they come in with a SWAT team and tanks. What's up with that?
It's mission creep in the military parlance, that what starts as a specific purpose tends to become a bigger and bigger purpose as they usurp more and more authority, and that is what's going on. We have another caller, though. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello.
Yes, hello.
How are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. I'm down in Southern Oregon, Jackson County, and I had a question. I've been a card holder since 1999, the original year, and I have not seen anything listed as far as the 10% research that we're supposed to be giving back to the state to determine what research needs to be involved with. I have not seen any readouts or nothing in 13 years. Could I maybe get an input on some of that information for me?
You know, there hasn't been any. They haven't done research. The health department has, in my opinion, done a pretty poor job in terms of regulating and doing research. And, you know, they're slow to issue the licenses. If you go to DMV, it doesn't take them 2 months to give you your driver's license. But they seem to take a long time to get those licenses issued. So I haven't known them to do any research whatsoever. There is this advisory committee for medical marijuana that gives them advice, but they never follow it.
Yeah, I've never heard anything from that advisory board. But another reason why I was asking that, I became a member of a organization down at Humboldt Institute for Indiscriminary Marijuana Research. And
is that part of Humboldt State University?
That's correct.
Yeah.
And they're finally finding the funds to do research in California, but the whole mission statement of the college is to interact with other communities throughout the United States to get this research all compiled into one form so everyone could be on top of the matters. So I was just wondering why we couldn't have a satellite in Oregon through OSU probably, or some of the other smaller colleges, and see why we cannot get together and find funds through the federal government that they say they could get, and have a more area that where everyone could understand exactly what's going on.
Yeah, you know, the state of Oregon hasn't done any of this research whatsoever, but the state of California has pioneered a lot of it. And then a lot of times to be able to do the research, you have to have access to a legal source of marijuana. And of course, the Drug Enforcement Administration refuses to help these research facilities get a legal source of marijuana. And so they've thwarted this sort of research at every turn. But in California, they've been able to get it from the local growers and bypassing the federal government in some cases. And the researchers that have tried to get it through the federal government have never been successful.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that that's the case. A couple other questions, if I have time.
Sure, go ahead.
I heard your first episode, I think it was 514 or something, and you had an entertainer on your show by the name of Tim Pate. Yeah. I have a cousin by that name that I grew up with back in the South in Alabama, and I was just trying to figure out if this was the same cousin that I have, because I'm a musician as well, and I was just inquiring.
You know,
I don't see him anymore on your show.
He is, I think, from Oklahoma, so I don't think he's from Alabama. But
he's very down to earth and friendly, very bright.
I think Tim Pate Music at AOL. I think that's his email. If you want to try to reach him directly,
I'll do that. Thank you so much, guys, for your time.
You're welcome. You have a good one.
Good day.
I've been researching marijuana for about 30 years now.
And what's the results of your research, Gasper?
It is a great plant for
a
lot
of
of things.
Well, that's what I think about it too. It produces more fuel, fiber, food, and medicine than any other plant on the planet. And it's the oldest crop sown, the first crop purposely cultivated by humans. All archaeologists agree.
And I'd show you my research notes, but I can't remember where I left them.
Ah, you funny character. We have another caller. Welcome to the show, caller. Howdy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
All right. I had to wait through a couple of people, so I wasn't sure when it was my turn.
I understand.
But anyways, my name is Greg from Portland, Oregon.
Howdy, Greg.
And it's a pleasure to speak with you guys. Thank you. I appreciate everything that you do. My question has to do with the Second Amendment, exercising my rights to get my concealed weapon carry permit. And also what your thoughts are of being a card holder and having a concealed weapon permit.
Well, you know, the Oregon Court of Appeals and the Oregon Supreme Court have said that you cannot be denied your permit based on having a medical marijuana card. There were 2 sheriffs, one in Washington County, Pat Garrett, and another sheriff down in Josephine County that had fought that, and they even appealed it to the United States Supreme Court, and the United States Supreme Court denied review. So the Oregon Supreme Court has said they can't even ask you if you have a medical marijuana permit. So if you can go ahead and apply for your permit, and it shouldn't have any effect on it. The courts have protected the Second Amendment and medical marijuana patients' rights to have a concealed weapon permit.
Okay, yeah, because I was worried when I fill out my criminal background check, etc., that they might be able to say, "Oh, well, he's a card holder," and then
they can't ask you that question, and they can't search your application based on being a Oregon Medical Marijuana Program registered patient.
Okay, thank you for answering that real quick. Also. If my medical card has been expired for a certain amount of time, I'm coming up on 3 months. I'm going to re-register. So that's kind of why I was holding off on filing for my concealed weapons, because I wasn't sure if I should do one or the other.
Yeah, you can do both at your you can't legally possess or grow medical marijuana when your card's expired, but it won't.
Correct.
It shouldn't have any effect on your ability to get a concealed weapons permit.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Paul. And
You're welcome.
What is your friend's name again?
This is Casper Leach.
All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. That's great. So
here's a scary thought. They gave me a gun permit. They even trained me in the military to use one.
They did me too.
They even gave me a secret clearance and a NATO clearance. I wouldn't have done that.
Well, at least you know. We have another caller, though. Welcome to the show, caller. Oh, not that line. Maybe we'll try another line.
Must have been something I said.
I don't think so. I don't think that was it.
Well, another thing that's gotten me all excited is that there is
am I next?
Hey, go right ahead. I can hear you. Welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome. Thank you. A prior show I heard you talking about, you said you believed that marijuana was more for just social use and not recreational use.
Yeah, I don't like what I said was I don't like the term recreational because it's pejorative. It has a negative connotation. Like basketball is recreational, swimming is recreational. We don't talk about the recreational use of alcohol. We talk about the social use of alcohol. We don't talk about the recreational use of tobacco. So saying that the use of marijuana is recreational is a misnomer. It could be medical, it could be social, but I don't like the term recreational myself.
Well, me and my friends do. We're all three. We use it social, but we use it a lot for recreational. When me and my friend, he's 6'4", I'm like 5'4". We go on killer 9-mile hikes, and we always toke out, or we play real rough street basketball, and we toke out before.
I think that your hiking or your basketball, that's recreation. And so not everybody does that when they use marijuana, but I think it definitely might enhance those activities. And it's not if you have, pain from, joints or your
and then
feet.
You smoke afterwards.
Yeah, it will help you endure that. The cannabis will kind of...
what do you think about me? Like, I don't like to go to an IMAX theater and watch 3D unless I've really fired up. And I can certainly tell you that when I listen to Pink Floyd, The Wall with my eyes closed and I'm really buzzed.
I don't know if that's recreational. Would you think that's recreational, caller?
No, I think that's more... tripping out.
Yeah, it's all semantics, or the use of language. But yeah, I think I wouldn't call that recreational. But yeah, definitely your hiking or your basketball, that's recreational. And I think cannabis can be used at the same time you're doing those. I think a lot of NBA players do it that way too, to be honest about it. But,
and a prior show, you're also talking about there's many different kinds of cannabinoids, like there's CBD and all these others.
Sure.
And like Martha Washington smoked marijuana for her stomach cramps. So it's the type, like she probably smoked more the CBD, more the relaxer. But the THC chemical is the most famous, and I think that's the energetic. So it really depends on the type of weed, if it really gets you alert and energetic.
And then the person, too. You know, different. It will affect different people differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes you wonder what kind of recipes Martha Washington's candies were when they first started out.
Yeah.
Killer. Well, yeah, I use it for social and recreational. Killer hikes, lifting weights with a friend. He would lift like 300-400 pounds. He'd get really ripped on pot and then weight lift. You know, I mean. So
Arnold Schwarzenegger did that. In fact, if you watch that movie Pumping Iron with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 70s, he smoked marijuana while he was working out. And that's what he said he used to do. He would smoke and then go work out.
Yeah, it's a type of cannabinoid. I think THC, the most famous cannabinoid, I think that's what gives you the energy.
Mm-hmm. Could well be.
Yeah, thank you. Good
All right,
show.
thank you. Thanks for your call and your input there.
And I agree with him in the other aspect, too. I like to smoke a really big fat bowl and then go for a bike hike on my 12-speed with my headset on, and I don't feel the pain in my legs. I don't feel my breath going out of my body so harshly, and then suddenly an hour and a half later, I realize, oh, my God, I'm that far from home.
You know, we have another question from the internet. It's to grow marijuana, what supplies are best? You know, I think dirt is important. Maybe you can do it in a hydroponic method, but some sort of nutrients, you know, it really varies. And again, I would say go to that website, marijuanagrowing.com. I know George Cervantes, a former Portlander, he has some of the best books out there, Marijuana Horticulture being one I've recommended for a long, long time. The second question is, how long should it take to harvest buds? Well, from the time the flower cycle starts, it's generally 6 to 9 weeks. I typically just say 2 months. So if I start my flower cycle on, say, the 10th of January, I'm going to be looking at harvesting it on or about the 10th of March. You can look at the pistils or the little hairs when 30 to 40% of them go from being white to being red is typically time to harvest your buds, and that's usually between 6 to 9 weeks. And so that is my recommendation.
Well, when I'm asked how long does it take to go to harvest the bud, my answer is always never fast enough.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So we have another video that we're going to run, and this one's more science-based. There's a fellow pharmacologist at Hebrew University named Raphael Mechoulam. He discovered THC back about 30 years ago, and then about 15 to 20 years ago, he discovered the endogenous analog for THC. He named it anandamide, and the receptor system that's located throughout your neurosystem. So we're going to...
Now, when you say he discovered THC, does that mean he found the compounds and named them?
He found the compounds
or he just
and
started smoking
elucidated... No. He elucidated its molecular structure and discovered what substance in marijuana actually causes the high, and he named it tetrahydrocannabinol delta 9. And there's several other types of cannabinol that aren't or THC that aren't delta 9 that aren't
I
as
found THC long before he did.
Well, maybe so, but he discovered the pharmacological structure and effects, and then discovered the natural endogenous cannabinoid that all mammals and animals have in their body to regulate their endocrine system. And so he'll discuss it in more detail in just a moment. So enjoy this video.
The cannabis plant grows almost anywhere. It is found in Asia, China, Malaysia. It's found in the Middle East, it's found in Africa, and it also grows, of course, in Europe and the US. It is used by hundreds of millions of people for the changes it causes in our thoughts, in our behavior, in our feeling. Unfortunately, it is certainly a dangerous drug. It can cause tolerance, it can cause addiction in some cases, Luckily, addiction caused by cannabis is not as potent as that of cocaine and heroin and can be treated relatively with ease. Until quite recently, actually, until the mid-60s, the active constituent was not known. We identified a compound, tetrahydrocannabinol, THC, which is the only one that causes these changes. For many years, it was unknown whether these changes are just a non-specific action of THC, but in the mid-80s, it was found that there is a receptor in the brain that is acted upon by THC and starts a cascade of reactions which causes the changes that we identify as high. But how come that the brain has a receptor for a plant constituent? After all, our brain doesn't have a receptor for every plant constituent, actually doesn't have a receptor for any plant constituent. So we started working on the assumption that maybe there are compounds in the brain that act on this particular receptor, and THC in the plant actually mimics the action of the compounds in the brain. Indeed, about 10-15 years ago, we were able to isolate two compounds. One we called anandamide, and the other is known as 2-AG, that stimulate, that bind to this particular receptor, and they start a cascade of reactions that we identify as high. Why do we have that system of receptor, endogenous cannabinoids? Why? I mean, just in order to cause high? No. This is a very important physiological system which is involved in a large number of physiological reactions and in large number of therapeutic reactions. For example, anandamide and 2-AG are involved in neuroprotection. When we have brain trauma, for example, the brain tries to reduce the damage by overproducing, if you wish, these compounds which lower the damage. They are also involved in anxiety. It is involved in sleep. It is involved in essentially all physiological reactions that have been investigated. Chances are that this particular system will be the basis on which a large number of drugs will be developed. At the moment, there is one major drug that has been introduced in Europe. A company produced an antagonist to the cannabinoid system, and they use it in order to reduce the appetite and also to enhance metabolism of fats so that ultimately we see an effect on obesity, an effect on all these diseases that are associated with obesity. Many other companies are working on many different aspects of cannabinoids, for example, inflammation, neurological diseases, maybe Alzheimer, and I assume that within the next 10 years we shall have a whole array of new drugs, as many companies are at present working on all these aspects.
So that was Raphael Mechoulam, the person who discovered THC, along with a couple of other people and his team of graduate students, then discovered the endogenous cannabinoid system and lead some of that.
He mentioned all these
research.
businesses growing up, and that's exactly what's happening in Colorado, isn't it?
Well, there are in a lot of businesses. You know, Colorado has regulated the commercial marijuana, medical marijuana industry very tightly, and now they actually have it under video from the time it's cut, the cuttings or seeds are planted, through its growing, to its harvest, through its packaging, all the way to the retail sale. So they, the Colorado Department of Health supervises that entire process via video surveillance.
That sounds more
in
tight
over
than Monsanto.
It's pretty darn tight. They have over 700 dispensaries, and then the law in Colorado requires that the dispensaries there produce 70% of their own products. So each store has to grow at least 70%
And then they
of
got
their
cameras
own.
inside each store where
They have
it's
cameras
growing
inside their grow sites,
God,
inside their
Big Brother is
stores. and-
watching.
well, it's the Colorado Department of Health
Wow.
that supervises that. And now the state of Colorado and the state of Washington in November last year, 2012, voted by over 55% in both states to legalize the sale of marijuana. You know, we had put an initiative on the ballot here in Oregon. We got 46.7% of the vote here in Oregon, so we didn't win. But we're coming back with another initiative in 2014, and working with a team of people and lobbyists and activists, we're trying to get it through the legislature. And if that doesn't work, we'll have an initiative on the ballot for a vote
Determined,
here in
aren't we?
Oregon as well. Yeah, we are indeed. So if you have a question or comment for us tonight, you can call us at 503-288-4442. We got about 5 minutes left, and we're got a caller standing by. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Hello.
Hello?
Hey,
Oh, is that me?
that's you.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm the one that ended up beeping.
Uh-oh,
I
that
got
happens
cut off.
sometimes. Well, you're here now. Thank you.
Hi.
Howdy.
Hi. I have a boyfriend that's in a wheelchair,
Uh-huh.
and he was born very disconfigured. But anyway, he smokes marijuana for painkillers, and he has a rod down his back. Well, he smokes way too much of it, and why is it that his grower does not know how to grow it? That's only one of the questions.
Well, you know, there's no supervision, and so we're hoping the legislature will pass a bill to allow, commercial activities under this. And right now, the law is set up where it can't be legally sold, even though there are dispensaries, especially here in the Portland area and some other parts of the state.
He goes to a dispensary just to smoke it, but
I
they
see.
don't sell it, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So hopefully we'll see some by this time next year, or maybe even before the fall. But there's no real supervision of that market, and that's one of the drawbacks of the way it stands right now. He's got to, consider, asking around when you go to these places if somebody there has a better grasp of what they're doing, and maybe they can help him in a better way. There's other ways to consume it. You can take it orally. You can take it in a tincture based on glycerin, which has a sweet flavor, or alcohol, which might burn a little bit. You can take it in candies and foods. So there are other alternatives, and those taking it orally that way and digesting it works better for pain and spasms and seizures.
He's done a lot of that because he does have a lot of spasms, and he has done tincture, and he has pills from the doctor, and he has a lotion that goes on his back, and that just numbs him for the night. That's it.
I see.
Yeah, he does all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Well, what do you think about any kind of ADHD, ADD stuff, which I have?
Yeah, well, it
And-
helps some people with that,
but smoke
and
doesn't do
anxiety,
nothing for me.
as Dr. Meshulam was saying in that video from Hebrew University in Jerusalem. It seems to modulate anxiety, and it's been used for anxiety, but unfortunately that's not a condition that qualifies in the state of Oregon. It does qualify in the state of California, though.
Really?
Yeah.
I was going to be part of a study for HDD, but I didn't have time for it, and then I lost interest.
I see. Well,
Yeah, me too. All it does is make me pass out and go to sleep.
Uh-huh. If you can't sleep, that might be a good thing, but...
Well, I do have a problem sleeping.
Well,
But
then it might be a good thing. But
I do too, but you got the wrong politicians in Washington.
I do too.
we're trying to change the law, and we had ballot measure 80 on the ballot here in Oregon that would have changed that. But they're just making it completely legal in the state of Washington. It's now legal to possess up to an ounce in the state of Washington for anyone over the age of 21.
And that really sucks because I always are signing the same ones all the time here. Constantly,
Well, there'll be another set of them coming out sometime this summer, so be on the lookout and help us put it on the ballot again, please.
I do it about 20,000 times a day.
All right.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
You know, we are just about out of time here.
Well, this is one of the fastest hours of the week.
It is for us, that's for certain. So do we have anybody standing by? We'll find out real quick here. Yep, we'll take one more phone call. Welcome to the show, caller. Hello, caller. Oh, nope, they hung up.
Well, let me just say, Valentine's is a couple of weeks away. Eric Holder, I got a bud for you.
All right. So you want to say one more plug for Time for Hemp, your
American Freedom
your
Radio, every Monday through Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific Standard. Please tune in, share it with your friends, download for free from iTunes, and let everybody around you know to go to timeforhemp.com. And remember, when you are taking Time for Hemp, it's always best to do it with a friend like we do every Thursday, Paul and I together. My joint host on Thursdays, I'm his joint host on Fridays. It's really fun, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you or a loved one need help obtaining a medical recommendation for a medical marijuana permit in Oregon or the rest of the country, we have doctor referrals all over the United States. So you can call us toll free at 1-800-723-0188 here in the Portland area. That's 1-800-723-0188. Across the country and in the Portland area, it's 503-235-4606. I want to thank you again, Casper. Thank you, viewers. We're going to go out with John Cornette and one more song and help us restore hemp. Good night.